Today I have another Tuesday trivia for you with 10 more movies that I'm going to give you the synopsis for, and you try to guess what the movie is. So let's get right to it. Welcome back, physical media and trivia fans. I have another 10 movies that I'm going to give you synopses for from the Video Hound's Golden Movie Retriever 2021. I'll remove any identifying names, places, words, authors, directors, whatever, so it's not too easy. If you don't get it from that synopsis, then I'll give you the year. I'll give you the cast, the top 3 billed cast in reverse order of billing, and then I'll give you the director, and then I will give you the answer. I also have fun facts for each of the titles once again this week. So if you're interested in little factoids from behind the scenes, or some trivia from the movie, or people in the movie, or people who made the movie, you can stick around for those after each answer. I'm also going to be putting up the slides that I make for these. Hopefully that helps you. If not, just listen to my voice, my beautiful dulcet sounds of my voice. So let's get right to this with movie number 1. You can't keep a bad blank in hell, as this unfortunate sequel demonstrates. Blank reprises his role as the big bad S&M pincushion in the latest and supposedly last installment of Blank's blood-drenched series. Tracing the origin of the infernal Rubik's Cube that releases Blank, the plot jumps between 18th century France, present-day New York, and 22nd century space station. Along the way, the pointy one gets to flay, skewer, and impale his evil hearts to his evil heart's content. Bad acting, bad plot, bad complexion. Yikes. So they didn't love this one, and there's a lot of redactions because they use the main character's name a lot for whatever reason in this synopsis. But the year is 1995. And the cast is Bruce Ramsey, Valentina Vargas, and Doug Bradley. Now that name, Doug Bradley, might have triggered at least what this franchise is, maybe not the actual installment in this franchise. The director is Alan Smithee. So if you don't know, Alan Smithee is a pseudonym for directors who were not happy with the final product of their work and took their names off of the project. And that happened in this case, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the fun fact. But this movie is Hellraiser Bloodline, or Hellraiser 4 Bloodline. So Doug Bradley is in it. It is not stupendous. This Hellraiser in space. There was a bit of a 90s trend to throw horror icons into space. Leprechaun, Jason. Maybe Jason was 2000, 2001. But anyway, Hellraiser in space. The fun fact that I have for you for this one is that the special effects guru Kevin Yeager from Face Off, Tales from the Crypt, and Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow was so embarrassed by this film that he took his director's credit off of the picture. Reportedly, there was massive studio interference and forced reshoots. So it was Kevin Yeager, who was a special effects, like it says, guru. He was a maven. And he was not happy with all of the studio interference and their insistence on changing things up. So he took his name off of it. And so that's why it's an Alan Smithee film. I didn't mention the theme yet, because there's not a very solid theme. What I did this week was I did 8 horror movies, 1 pretty straightforward sci-fi, and 1 fantasy. Why not? Throw them in there. So that's the theme. Horror plus a little fantasy with a sprinkling of fantasy and sci-fi. Okay? Movie number 2. Two space shuttle crew members, Peyton and Bauer, awake from a cryogenic snooze to find that they have no memory of why they're in outer space and little recollection of their own identity. While trying to piece together their mystery, they realize they're sharing quarters with flesh-eating alien rodents. Any shot at being a genuine sci-fi thriller is undone by these unimaginative creatures that push it into nothing more than alien knockoff territory. So they didn't love this one either. I picked these because I think they're okay. They're pretty good. I like the Hellraiser franchise, even though I admit that a lot of them are not the best. But I like this one quite a bit. The year is 2009. The cast is Norman Reedus, Dennis Quaid, and Ben Foster. So two big well-known names, and Ben Foster, who's a lesser known, not a household name. And the director is Christian Alvart. And this movie is Pandorum. Pandorum. I think it's a fun sci-fi horror movie. Apparently, the Video Hound's Golden Movie Retriever didn't love it. The fun fact that I have for you for this one is that it is said that Ben Foster insisted on eating real live insects during the shoot rather than edible props to maintain realism. Yikes. So, I don't think that's great. You could easily do props and make it look realistic and not have to eat animals. But to each his own. He must be pretty method, I guess. I know that Nick Cage did that for Kiss. What was the name of that movie? I don't remember what it was, but there was a vampire Nick Cage movie in his earlier career, and he ate a cockroach, apparently. Live cockroach. Movie number 3. Visually elaborate but narratively weak sci-fi from director Blank about the search for origins of our species. In 2093, skeptic Charlie and believer Elizabeth are aboard the Blank on a deep space mission. Also aboard is ship's commander Janek, corporate Payne Vickers, and the film's best character, android David, who takes the lead in the film Lawrence of Arabia as his ideal for human behavior. Landing on an alien planet then provides stock dangers when they meet the inhabitants, who aren't happy with mankind. I left one name in there that might, maybe two names, that might be a trigger, but if you know the film well enough, I give you that extra clue. The year is 2012. The cast is Guy Pearce, Michael Fassbender, and Noomi Rapace. And the director is Ridley Scott. So if none of the previous stuff triggered it for you, maybe Ridley Scott did. This movie is Prometheus. So this one is divisive. I think a lot of people wanted an alien movie, and this one doesn't quite hit those notes. It's in the alien universe, and Ridley Scott himself has said that it is the alien that we see at the end, which I have a fun fact about, is not related to the xenomorphs that we know and love from Aliens, and so on and so forth. So the fun fact I have is that the alien that bursts from the engineer's chest at the end is nicknamed Deacon because of the shape of its head, and it somewhat resembles a Christian leader hat, like the Pope's. So a lot of fans call it a proto-alien or a progenitor to the aliens. The xenomorphs that we know has a head that's very elongated, just like the xenomorph, but it comes to a point. So it looked like a pope hat. A deacon is a leader in the church. I guess they nicknamed it Deacon. Movie number 4. In 1863 Alabama, a group of Confederate soldiers led by William rob a bank of its gold bullion, leaving a lot of dead bodies behind, and plan to head to Mexico. But first, they spend the night in an abandoned plantation house that apparently isn't so abandoned. They hear noises, see strange creatures, and start to get very spooked indeed. So this is a indie horror chiller from 2004. And the cast is Michael Shannon, Patrick Fugit, try my best, Henry Thomas, and the director is Alex Turner. So this is indie. It does have a bit of a cult following. This might be one of the harder ones on the list. But this movie is Dead Birds. Dead Birds. It does, like I said, it has a cult following, and that has to do with my fun fact. The film was met with middling to negative reviews, but has developed something of a cult following. Turner's follow-up feature, Red Sands, hasn't fared so well. So that's not a super, deep bit of trivia. But I didn't find a lot about this movie when I was looking it up. I didn't find interviews where they were giving tidbits about, behind the scenes. They did do practical effects with the creatures and so on and so forth, so that's cool, but I didn't really find anything meaty to grab onto for my fun fact, so I used that for my fun fact. Movie number 5. Okay, get past the fact that blank's Scottish burr is coming out of the teeth-filled mouth of an 18-foot tall, 43-foot long dragon, and you'll be well on your way to enjoying this 10th century fantasy. Knightly Bowen is the one-time mentor of evil-hearted King Aenon, and it's up to him, Draco the Dragon, feisty Kara, and some fearful peasants to band together and free themselves from the king's tyranny. There's some slow spots, but Bowen and Draco make for an amusing pair, and the dragon does seem, well, real. Work on Draco took more than a year of Industrial Light and Magic's expertise. So, I'll tell you when I get to the fun facts. The year is 1996. The cast is David Thewlis, Sean Connery, and Dennis Quaid. 2 movies with Dennis Quaid in them. The director is Rob Cohen. And this movie is Dragonheart. It is not super good, but I have a nostalgic affinity for it because I saw it at the drive-in when it released. And I love the drive-in. I definitely miss going to the drive-in and seeing movies. So saw this one at the drive-in and I had fun. I wouldn't say it's a great movie, but it was okay. The fun fact I have for you for this one is that special effects legend Phil Tippett headed up the effects on this film following his work on Jurassic Park. He says that he hired an anatomy expert to ensure that Draco's proportions were correct and that the wings that ILM designed could actually lift the creature into flight. So he wanted it to be a realistic fantasy dragon, which is fun. That's cool. Movie number 6. American remake of Blank. Lonely, neglected, and bullied 12-year-old Owen finds a best friend and guardian when Abby moves into his apartment building. Abby doesn't attend school. She only comes out at night, and the man acting as her father causes trouble in the neighborhood. Soon enough, Owen realizes that she's a vampire. Much respect is given to the original's haunting pace and tone, allowing the tension to build naturally without flashy gimmicks. The child actors are perfect, capturing the despair and horror of their adolescence. This one might be one of the easier ones. So, the cast Oh no, the year is 2010. The cast is Richard Jenkins, Chloe Grace Moritz, and Cody Smith McPhee. And the director is Matt Reeves. And this movie is Let Me In. Let Me In. So it's a remake of Let the Right One In. And those are both based on the book Let the Right One In by John Ajvid Lindqvist. I try my best with the names. But the fun fact that I have for you is that his Let the Right One In the book, the boy has a much darker ending. So Oscar slash Owen has a much darker ending where he ends up explicitly the killer and caretaker of Ellie or Abby, depending on which version you're watching. So it was a little bit darker. It also had some pedophilia in there. I was trying to soften that, but so the book is darker. It's great. It's very good. But I feel like both of the adaptations of the book, the Swedish Let the Right One In and this one Let Me In, are both excellent as well. Definitely worth a watch. Movie number 7. Woman vacationing at a Connecticut lake house on the Housatonic River is brutally attacked and raped by 4 men. Left for dead, she recovers and seeks revenge. Not to be confused with the 1962 film of the same title, this one is worth 0 as a film. Lots of violent terror and gory death, totally irresponsibly portrayed. Woof. In fact, the lowest rating that the Video Hound's Golden Movie Retriever gives is woof, and that is what they give this one, a woof. This is a polarizing film. I'll talk a little bit more about that after the fun fact, but it's good. It's just it's not something you can recommend to other people. The year is 1977. The cast is Richard Pace, Aaron Tabor, and Camille Keaton. And the director is, I'll do my best on this name, Mir Zarchi. Mir Zarchi. And this movie is I Spit on Your Grave. So, a couple things about this movie. It was originally titled Day of the Woman. I think it was pitched as this feminist, the woman becomes a badass and she gets her revenge or whatever. But it definitely glosses over the horrific trauma that her ordeal would have caused her, much, lasting effects, PTSD, so on and so forth. And it is really, there's very male gazy camera work. In fact, the cover of the video is pretty famous for having a very scantily clad woman from behind who's walking. I think she's holding a knife. Little bonus fun fact is the actress who's in the film is not the person portrayed on the cover art. They hired a model for that, and that was 16, 17-year-old teenage Demi Moore. So it was Demi Moore who was the model for the cover art, and not Camille Keaton. So the official fun fact that I have for you is that the 1962 film referenced above is a French crime drama directed by Michel Gast, actually released in 1959, but not released in the US until 1962. It is an adaptation of a book in which a black man seeks revenge on the men who lynched his family. Either way is awful and dark, whichever I Spit on Your Grave you're thinking of. Movie number 8. 4 college friends take a fateful road trip. The road is a direct route to terror. They pick up Lucinda, a hot young hitchhiker full of sexual deviance and lust for the bloody kill. After being terrorized and nearly killed, the group manages to turn the tables. They thought they killed her, but around the next bend, around every bend, she appears like a mirage, ready to murder again. Is she the devil? Can anyone stop her killing spree? I think this one is probably the hardest one on here. It's a very indie feature. I'll give you an extra clue. It is distributed by Terror Vision. The year is 2002. The cast is Beverly Lynn, Ron Jeremy, and Phoebe Dollar. The director is Jeff Leroy. And this movie is Hell's Highway. Hell's Highway. It's actually pretty good. It's a decent, very indie kind of gore sci-fi horror. I mean, you find out toward the end of the film that there's a sci-fi twist to it. It's very entertaining. It's definitely worth a watch if you're into indie horror. The fun fact that I have for you is that former porn star Ron Jeremy has a brief cameo as a creep, and in real life he is a creep. So there have been several accusations against him. He's no bueno type of dude. I assume in 2002, this was before that stuff came out. Hopefully they weren't hiring this man, giving him money after the allegations came out. Another fun fact, he has a very tiny, brief, probably less than 1 full second cameo in Ghostbusters, or it's somebody who looks exactly like him, and that's an urban legend. I don't know which is which. Movie number 9. Captain Coulter Stevens becomes part of a government experiment in which he can enter the last 8 minutes of another human's life. Stevens must figure out who bombed a Chicago commuter train, the mastermind behind it, and where the next attack will be, but only by returning to that same moment again and again. With each new clue, Stevens works to prevent an attack threatening to kill millions in downtown Chicago. An intelligent, suspenseful ride by skillful director Blank, with strong lead performances and an edge-of-your-seat plot. This was a good one. This is the kind of straight sci-fi one that I was talking about. The year is 2011. The cast is Vera Farmiga, Michelle Monaghan, and Jake Gyllenhaal. And the director is Duncan Jones, director of Moon, which is also excellent. And this movie is Source Code. Source Code. It's very good. I feel like it's not talked about as much as it should be. It is a very solid sci-fi movie. The fun fact that I have for you for this one is that Duncan Jones is actually David Bowie's son. I don't know if he got his foot in the door because of that, probably, but he does have a different last name, so maybe not everybody knows that. Last movie number 10. Fabian enjoys himself and brings the audience along with him as a con man preacher, Cotton Marcus, who performs exorcisms for the gullible. Finally disgusted with his fraudulent religious activities, Marcus agrees to let a film crew document his last exorcism, which doesn't go as planned. Filmed in an overly familiar fake documentary style that doesn't detract too much from the action. The year for this one is 2010. The cast is Iris Barr, Louis Hertham, and Patrick Fabian. And the director is Daniel Stamm. And this movie, if you didn't catch it, there's a phrase in the synopsis that kind of gives it away, is The Last Exorcism. So this is actually a surprisingly good movie. I kind of wrote it off when it came out and didn't see it for a while after it was out because I thought, it's another found footage or mockumentary style and exorcism movie, so on and so forth. But it is surprisingly good. And the fun fact that I have for you for this one is that Ashley Bell did her own contortion stunts for the film. No CGI was used for those shots in which her body is bent unnaturally. So that's it. 10 more films, another week down for Tuesday trivia. The other bit of theme that I have this week is that all of these movies are for sale in some format in my eBay store. I'm going to put a link in the description. If you're interested in buying any of these, you're welcome to. I would be happy to have your business. If you want to like and subscribe, I would appreciate that. Either way, I'm glad that you watched this far, and you'll see me the next time I post. Thanks.